Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, are mass battles better if they happen off screen? Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing House of the Dragon. That's right. Max's? I don't know, is it HBO anymore? Whatever. Their Game of Thrones, House of the Dragons. Season 2, Episode 3, The Burning Mill. Now, of course, this was directed by Geeta Vasant Patel. She did a smashing job. It was written by David Hancock. He did a superb job, and it aired yesterday on a wonderful day. You can tell I'm biased with this show, I think. This is a great episode. Every episode is great, and you get this momentum, this sort of steady, slow build that each episode you're like, oh, the next episode, they got to have dragon fights, right? And then something happens. You're like, oh, okay, but the next episode has to be dragon fights, right? And normally you would be like, well, what the fuck? I want some dragon fights. Like, let's get to the shit. Like, that's the promise of this House of the Dragon series, are the dragon fights. And yet every episode that it goes by, you don't mind because the story is so goddamn good. And the actors are so goddamn good. And the roles are so goddamn... Like, everything about this is spectacular. And before I go play by play with the episode, I want to just jump in with a part that... So this is all based off of George R. R. Martin's Fire and Blood novel. It's a really, really big novel talking about the Targaryens coming over from Old Valyria and basically taking control of Westeros, the continent. And making all the different houses and families bend the knee to them, and then just, basically creating King's Landing and stuff. So there is the promise of dragon battles, which is really what everyone's excited about with this series. But man, the writing in this is so good. We don't care. Like, we're okay with not seeing dragon battles every episode. Okay, so to my point, the scene with Rhaenyra and Alicent was not in that book. They made that whole scene up. The whole scenario, which took up, I don't know, maybe a third of this episode, was completely manufactured. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? I'm so glad they didn't. I'm so glad they did such a good job. He was worried they were going to shit the bed with Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones, you know what? I have perspective after having lived through a few other of my favorite IP's series. Game of Thrones last arguably 3 seasons, 4 seasons wasn't that bad. Like, when you reflect on what we're given now in like Star Wars IP, for example, the Game of Thrones last few seasons were great compared to it. They were gold compared to it. They didn't hold up to the earlier seasons. No. They would probably be infinitely better if George R. R. Martin finished his goddamn books. Yes. But compared to anything else we're getting out there, they were gold. All right, that being said, this is a whole different planet that we're operating on right now. Because House of the Dragon is just, it's giving me everything I ever want. And I'm loving every bit of it. Hey, Achilles, how you doing, man? I also want... Okay, I see where you're going with that. All right. I'm not going to disagree, because I feel the same way. But on its own merits, on this show, it's gold. All right, so Alicent, she's as far as Rhaenyra is concerned, reaching out because she sent that message with a raven episodes ago where she was trying to find common ground. We don't want to kill each other. We don't want our children to kill each other. And so she sends a note with a promise of, hey, let's just talk this shit out. We can work it out. We're 2 strong women. We can do this. Of course, that does come off as wildly naive in the face of the fact that this is Westeros and George R. R. Martin's world, and women are literally second-class citizens, just like they were in our world a century ago. So it's not entirely fair to think that they could solve the world's problems by getting together, but that's the hope. That is the hope that we have right now. I mean, the train is already, it's in motion, right? But anyway, I love that they put this scene in there because, one, it adds some infinitely needed clarity about the atrocities that have happened and are yet to come, and they are going to be coming soon. shit is going to hit the fan. So we need context about, did they do everything to avoid this travesty that is about to unfold? And that's why you needed that scene. And so ostensibly, Rhaenyra went over and talked to Missari and said, look, I've got to get in King's Landing. I have to talk to Alicent. We were childhood friends. We grew up together. We were besties. We braided each other's hair, had tickle fights. There was probably a few kisses slipped in the middle of the night. I'm just going off of my own fantasies at this point, but there was definitely some like testing sexual boundaries going on between the two of them. As adults, of age. Let me just marinate with that for a second. But like they were close. And so she just feels like, Rhaenyra feels like, I can genuinely just talk to her on a human level. And we can come on the other side of this bullshit. And yes, we have each suffered. But cooler heads prevail in the light of day, right? So she sneaks herself in looking like some, Westeros version of a nun, which normally I'm like way into, like in a weird, unhealthy way. But their nuns, for some reason, don't do it for me. I need like a Psycho. Was it Psycho 3 that the nun was in? Anyway, it like ingrained in my brain. And I forever am attracted by nuns, except for Westeros nuns. They're gross. I don't know why. So even Rhaenyra in nun garb just doesn't do it for me. Sorry, honey. It's not you. It's me. It's for sure. It's me. 100% it's me. But I'm just saying. So she sneaks into the church where Alicent goes and prays. And she does what is so weird. Like this is the only part of the whole scene that didn't make sense to me. She takes a knife to her ribs, like threatening her. And she's like, oh, I went overboard there. It was like a weird slapsticky, like bro high school thing. Like, as something you wouldn't see in a show like this. And it was like, like the kid had like ADHD and he was just too excitable. And so he brings a knife to a friend. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I got too excited. But that's what she did as Rhaenyra to Alicent. And it made no sense to me. It was just like, what the fuck are you doing? You snuck in to what? Stick a knife to her ribs so she would talk to you? You didn't think your face would be enough to get the message across? And then, what? You're not like a knife master. You're not fucking, what is it? Lou Diamond Phillips from Young Guns is not you. Like you there's no proof that you are capable of subduing a screaming woman, shouting the traitor kinslayer is here in this church arena. So it felt wildly out of place for me. But then after that awkward moment, they started having the conversation. And this was so beautiful because we as the audience already knew all this information, which is why you could make probably a decent argument that this is a superfluous scene. There's no point to the scene because we knew, but the characters didn't. Rhaenyra needed conclusive closure. She has been groomed by her father her whole life, and yet her best friend is now literally putting life and death of her own children and her own life on the line, saying that her father, Alicent's husband, forsook her daughter after a lifetime of setting her up to be the next ruler. And Rhaenyra needed closure on that. She needed to know for sure, is this fucking real or are you fucking with me? And she got the answer and she was like, oh shit, this is real. And then she just wanted closure and she just said, I need to know the exact words he used. And if you've ever been in like a bad breakup and you're getting information secondhand, you get the same message. You're just like, look, no, tell me exactly with the inflection and tone and everything what they said. So I get her insistence on needing to hear it. I mean, it's just a natural human thing. That was your dad who raised you your whole life to do this one thing, and then suddenly it's pulled out from under you. So she tells her, and she's like, whoa, simmer down there, Tiger. He told you about the Song of Ice and Fire? And Alicent's face drops. She's like, I have no idea what you're fucking talking about. And she's like, that's a story about Aegon the Conqueror. The first. Not your dumbass son, bitch. The first motherfucking conqueror of Westeros. And Alicent's face just drains of blood. She's like, oh, shit. So how are we going to get out of this? Bestie, friendy, you want to take a fight? A little something on the sun? And Rhaenyra gives her nothing. I bet money, there's no reason to believe this is true, but I'm going to say that I bet money that if Rhaenyra would have gone in there with a reconciliatory perspective rather than a desire for closure, I think she would have come in saying, look, I will give you X lands and X titles so that we can end this shit. You know it's a fucking lie. I know it's a fucking lie. I should be on the fucking throne. You know I should be on the throne. Let's just resolve this as adults and just barter for peace. You know? If she would have come in like that, Alicent would have heard her and probably followed through. But she didn't bring anything to the table. She's just like, so I'm queen now, right? And Alicent's like, bitch, I lost kids. What the fuck? Like, I lost kids. I'm not going to give up now. I have the throne in my back pocket. You have dick. I'm not giving you nothing. Like, fuck off. Go back to Dragonstone. And she does. Psycho 3 was dope as hell. In my memories, it was amazing. First of all, most of Psycho was great. Okay, this is a Psycho show. Getting off tangent. I love Psycho. All right, so let's get back to the beginning because we skipped over something that I was really frustrated about. And one of the strengths of Game of Thrones is the interpersonal connections. But really, the spectacle of Game of Thrones are the mass battlefields. And what we saw was a scene from West Side Story without the switchblades, where we have the Brackens and the Blackwoods sort of like stepping up and dancing around each other like, you backed the wrong bitch. Oh, you racked the wrong bitch. And they're just like, and then cuts to like massive battle. Like conclusive, like it's over, like dagger in a dude's throat, and you just see dead bodies everywhere. This was a pivotal moment in Fire and Blood, in the whole Targaryen dynasty background of trying to take control of Westeros, and they just like washed right over it. I don't know if they did it for budgetary reasons. Like it in the scene, it worked because I thought I was going to be getting like a flashback sequence. But there was no flashback sequence to the actual battle itself. It just happened. Like little kids were facing off against each other and like tripped one kid and then cut to mass battle, everyone's dead. I feel like I was robbed. Like I went to the trick-or-treat house on Halloween. I was like, hey, knock, knock, knock. And some old lady like opened the door. She's like, Mo, yes. I was like, trick-or-treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. And she's like, Mo, you look adorable. How about a Werther's Original? And she like drops it in, but it was already like sucked on and like opened up. She probably had it earlier watching Jeopardy like 2 minutes ago, and I interrupted her, and so she just like spit it out real quick and just like, here you go, little boy, enjoy my Werther's. I was enjoying it a moment ago. Like that's how I felt. I got secondhand Werther's Originals, and firsthand Werther's Originals aren't really worth it, but grandma saliva on a secondhand version, get the fuck out. Like, come on, really? You're gonna do me like that? That's how you get TP'd, old lady. That's how you get TP'd. All right, I'm just putting it out there. Dish soap around your sprinklers. All right. Learn. Learn from your mistakes. All right. I don't know where I was going with that, but it was fucked up. I wanted to see a mass battle. That's my point. All right. Anyway, it's over. It was a big deal. It happened. Then we get Kristen Cole, who is clearly underwater with his new job. He doesn't know shit about shit. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Dude is just like, Chris. He's like, I'm going to go take the Riverlands. And let's just like do like mental gymnastics for a second. The only way that the Targaryens have a chance against the Hightowers is if they get the Riverland armies at their back. The only way. Otherwise, they just don't have the numbers. They have the ships, but that doesn't do fuck all on land. So you need bodies. And the Riverlands are the answer to that problem. So Daemon goes out at the end of the previous episode after telling his girl that he did not bow down to her, to go basically fealty from Highgarden. I'm sorry, not Highgarden. Oh my gosh, why is this? I'm looking at my notes. I'm trying to Harrenhal. Thank you. So he's going to Harrenhal to try to get their fealty. Meanwhile, Kristen's like, I can get to Harrenhal pretty quickly on horseback with a couple people. Speed is my ally. And everyone's just like, what? You're going to need a dragon to get there fast enough. He's like, poppycock. I've got this on horseback. You add a dragon into the mix, and it's just going to cause all sorts of problems. So just let me ride really fast on my horse, which is clearly not faster than a dragon, and get there before the other guy with the dragon gets there. Which of course isn't going to happen, but that's his thinking because he's a fucking idiot. All he knows is fucking royalty and getting away with it. And then being like failing upwards for having done so. So, I mean, I have to sort of tip my cap. Apparently he knows what he's doing in the bedroom. But outside the bedroom, he's fucked. He doesn't know shit about shit. And so he takes his little Kingsguard group to try to, get Harrenhal's fealty. Meanwhile, Daemon's already there. And let's just say, if I owned a keep, like a castle, like Harrenhal, for example, and a Targaryen with their dragon came and decimated it, I would probably rebuild. I mean, I don't know how much it costs. I would probably have to look at Angie.com and find some good contractors, and it would probably take a while. But I would at least start the process of rebuilding the massive hole in the center of my castle, because as soon as Daemon shows up in Harrenhal, it is like a water world. It's like Kevin Costner with fins behind his ears going to pop out at any minute and throw fruit around or something. I just assume that's going to happen with the amount of water that is just flooding this castle. And let's just look at the reality of it. If you really had that much water, the mortar, which holds the massive stones, your walls and floor, would not hold. So you got to do some maintenance, man. So he's going through the whole Harrenhal keep, and it's a ghost town. And then he finally gets to the dining hall, and one dude is just and he just punches him in the face and throws him aside before he has a chance to even challenge him. He walks into the dining hall, and I don't even know his name. The strong guy that runs the keep is just like, you made it for dinner. Well, please have a seat. The peas are rather disgusting, but the chicken's okay. And he just gives up without anything. That's it. Now, to be fair, if Daemon Targaryen came into my house fully armored up with a sword out ready to cut me down, I would do the exact same thing. I would be the nicest dude he's ever met. So I get it. But how can anyone expect actual loyalty based on fear? It doesn't work that way. That's not how life works. That will work for maybe a conflict before they freaking turn on you and stab you in the back or do a red wedding. This is Game of Thrones we're talking about, Daemon. Where have you been your whole life? You should know this by now. But he's an impulsive prick, and that's what impulsive pricks do. Pull their swords out and threaten people to do what they want. As long as their dragon's there to back them up, they'll do it. But as soon as the dragon's gone, what the fuck do you think is going to happen, really? Really? It's just the worst leadership styles ever. So, of course, he's staying there, and he has this really great, crazy dream sequence. And it all comes from the idea that he's actually he feels guilty about that child, Jaehaerys, dying, Prince Jaehaerys. He didn't intend for that to happen. That was not his goal. He wanted Aemond. Fuck Aemond. But he had a rat catcher and a disgruntled guard co-worker, so, he got what he got. You get what you pay for in life, genuinely. So he's feeling bad, but then there's this mysterious voice over everything saying, you're going to die in this castle. And I'm reflecting back on all the stuff I've read, and I can't remember when Daemon dies. I genuinely can't. I didn't read Fire and Blood, but I read the illustrated companion, which tells the same story condensed with pictures, because I'm a child. And I remember him dying at some point, but I don't remember when. And if it's in Harrenhal, if it's Criston Cole that kills Daemon Targaryen, I am going to lose my mind. I will not be able to deal with it. I will break my television, I will break my computer, and then I will fire up my phone and yell at you guys because it's clearly your fault, not the showrunner, not the writers, not George R.R. Martin's. It is clearly the audience's fault. And I'm part of the audience, but I can't take blame for that because I have to deflect. So sorry. It's coming to you. Just be prepared. I'm gonna lose my shit, dude. If Daemon dies in Harrenhal from Criston Cole, I can't handle it. I can't. Criston Cole's a douchebag that I want to physically beat up. Like I would literally go toes with him any day of the week. You name the day. I'm not saying I would win. I'm just saying I would go toes, and I would 100% do so. Oh, thanks. Loyalty based on fear only lasts long enough until your back is turned. Yeah, especially in Game of Thrones, like 100%. They should have duct taped the castle hole. Yeah. They need gnomes to invent duct tape, and then it will probably still explode, but at least they'll have a chance. All right, so let's see. Criston proposes the bold scheme to conquer Harrenhal. Daemon arrives there first and gets the allegiance. Daemon has his vision about a young Rhaenyra sewing Prince Jaehaerys' head back on, and he awakes to this unknown voice of a woman telling him that he's going to die there. There's a great moment between Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra's complaining about the war and how she wants to stop it, and Rhaenys is like, well, at what point did this war start? Was it when your son was killed? Or when your son took the eye out of her son? Was it when she usurped your throne? Or, and she was just like putting things in context. And that's something that is important for Rhaenyra, but arguably more important for us as the viewer, because I can't imagine a world where someone would ever be on Team Green, be on Alicent Hightower's team. That's not how this show is set up. So if you're on Team Hightower, I'm really genuinely curious why. They stole the throne, they all suck, and why would you want them to be the ones on the throne? They suck at it. They're terrible. Like, all their kids are terrible. Like, fuck. But equally, I'm Team Black, but I can't really justify why I'm Team Black. Why I want the Targaryens. I want the Targaryens in control because I know that in the future they already are in control. So I know they're going to get the throne back. But why do I think they deserve it? I don't. Like, they're all asses. At least Rhaenyra is going up to Alicent and trying to stop this. She's trying to reach out with a little olive leaf tickling the nose, and Alicent sneezing, and they giggle about it, and it's like a whole thing, like from I don't know. I was going to name a 80s sitcom that I can't remember the name to right now. So, it's just like Who's the Boss or some bullshit like that, right? It's like, it doesn't make sense that this is happening and these are only two choices. It's almost too real. It's almost like two mummies in a real world election of the most powerful country in the world. And the totality of their conversations break down to golf on a presidential debate stage. It's that insane. And that could never happen in real life. So I don't know why I would make that comparison. But that's kind of the craziness. Like, we're taking sides on this show, and no one should be taking anyone's side. We should all just be sitting back with our popcorn going, you guys are fucked. Right? But I am getting genuinely invested in the characters I'm getting pissed at. Number one I'm pissed at is King Aegon, who goes to pop one of his guards' cherries at the whorehouse, and he finds his brother there being coddled by the woman who popped his cherry, and he starts talking shit about him. Like, it's weird. Like, why would you not go back to what's comfortable, that you're familiar with, that you get some sort of matronly affection from when you've been raised in such a dysfunctional fucking household, and the king is just being a total ass. And then Aemon just stands up and shows everyone his junk, and he's like, suck it, bitches, and walks out. And I'm left thinking, Did he fluff before that scene? Cause like it doesn't matter. It's just like the first thing that popped in my head. Did he fluff? Is that him impressive or is that him embarrassed? Because either way, I'm put to shame. So it doesn't. I don't have a fight in the game. I don't have a team here. It's just like for an actor to do full frontal as a man is so different than for a woman. It's so different because the penis is a fickle beast. It does not care how you feel. It has its own motivations. If it wants to be a turtle, it will duck back in and hide itself. You don't have a choice. You can't control it. You can, at best, bargain with it. But even then, you get no promises. So I'm just saying, like, I'm impressed. Good job, man. Hey, if you had to get fluffed there, okay, good on you. If you didn't, I tip my cap. But it caught me off guard. It was Full House is the 80s sitcom I was thinking about. I love Three Companies, though. That was 70s. I love Three Companies. Come on, knock on our door. Okay, anyway. Back to this. So I loved the brothel scene. I thought it was great because I genuinely feel like if you're a naked man and you just stand up and you just walk past everyone else and just like, she's yours, you get the fucking win. Not the asshole brother that was making fun of you. Because what is he making fun of you for? Fucking? For getting some love? For getting some affection? Finding a little tenderness in the cruel, cruel world? That's nothing to be embarrassed about. That's awesome. So yeah, you win. I hate you, but you win. Fucking dude. Aemond is just like, penis. All right, so he moves off, and then we get Baela. Now, we get a couple different scenes with Daemon's kids. One of his daughters is sent off with some dragon eggs and Rhaenyra's children to... oh my gosh. I gotta look at my notes. Anyway, she gets sent off to the freaking... it's gonna drive me nuts. Why don't I have this like highlighted in my notes? Oh god, this is gonna drive me nuts. Anyway, I can't find it in my notes. She goes off to that crazy castle that's like up in the freaking air, the Ares, and for protection. And the other daughter goes to sort of scout out the area, but not engage anything. She sees Kristen Cole, and she goes after him with her badass-looking dragon, and it was such a fun scene. First of all, that actress is amazing because she's, like, excited. She's happy and filled with joy in the role, and you can sense that on screen, the joy of the actress in her role. And so you're just watching Baela patrolling on Dragonback, and then she sees Kristen, and she's, like, going in. Now, here's the part that drives me insane. She would have caught them. She would have caught them. That dragon would have bitten them off the back of those horses. I don't care what kind of horses you have. They're not faster than a dragon. They're just not. And so it bothered me that we didn't get to see like a closer, like they're barely going into the tree line and she's just like, would you whoosh? You know? It felt like there was like a bunch of, it was like Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. When the army's like running up on the news team and they're just like, oh no, dun-na-na, dun-na-na. It's just slowly coming up at them and they're just waiting. Then all of a sudden, bam, they're all cut down and dead. It's ridiculous. That's what that felt like. It was like a Monty Python and the Holy Grail scene where the dragon clearly would have got her. Clearly. But no, Kristen has to live. And if Kristen kills Daemon, I'm going to fucking ruin Max. I'm going to tear the walls down. I'm going to burn the house. I got to find House Max so I can burn it down if they do that. Don't do Daemon wrong like that. First of all, I don't like the actor for Daemon. I think he's wildly overrated. I don't know why people love Matt Smith. In my mind, I cannot comprehend. He is a crazy, weird-looking dude who has weird acting chops and deliveries. He's just an obscure human being that just happens to fall in line with a Targaryen, which is not a good thing when you think about it, because they're the worst. So, congratulations on being the worst, I guess. I don't know. It must be Doctor Who or some weird shit, because I think he's fucking weird. He was great in Last Night in Soho, but it was still weird. He's still a weird face, and yeah, ugh, not a fan. Anyway, I wanted her to catch those horsemen. Didn't happen. And now she went back and reported it, and now war's on. Rhaenyra did her best to stop the war. Daemon has now got Harrenhal, which is the gateway to the Riverlands. They've got their men. They've got their ships down south of King's Landing with the Valerians. So it's on. It is 100% fucking on. Now, like I said when I started this whole review / exposition / Adam's a weird fucking dude who just talks off the fucking cuff. I'm a little bit concerned about not being able to see dragons next episode because I want to see dragons fighting. But if they give us the story again, I'll be okay. I'll be pacified. I'm gonna be like Aemond, going back to my old familiar, at this point really old whore, and she's just gonna like hold me and caress my hair until my brother comes and makes fun of me, and then I'll expect more dragons at that point. So let me know what you guys think. Like, is this something where you are like, you're okay not seeing these massive battles because the story's so good, because the characters are so good, because the actors are so good? Is that all right with you? Or are you sort of chomping at the bit? You're happy, but you're still desiring a little more. It's like you're eating a chocolate bar and then you see like someone with like a piece of cheesecake and you're just like, oh, I want some cheesecake. Right? Like that's kind of like where this is like overindulgence, this show, but I'm here for it. I will put on some pounds. Let's do this. All right. That's all I got. That's my review. Of course, it's a 5-star, 5 evil eye. I don't have stars. I just have really creepy ass old woman eyes, as every grown man has. So, what do you think about the show thus far? Is House of the Dragon living up to what you expected or what you hoped? Is it exceeding your expectations? How do you feel about the story unfolding? Let me know in the comments below. As always, remember the evil spelled backwards is live. Thank you guys for tuning in live or after the fact. And get out there and be evil, but not full frontal without a fluffer.